Hello everyone, and welcome back to part 15 of my Dark Souls full walkthrough. In this short episode we'll be finishing off Sense Fortress. So again, there's a pressure plate here, easy to avoid the trap. This should not be causing much trouble. With these pendulum axes you have to run through in one go. There's not enough space between them to wait it out, but the distance is small enough that you can get through quite comfortably. Well, here note there is a pit behind this snake guy. It's not a bottomless pit, it's not an insta-kill, but jumping down there just puts you earlier into the level, so not much point doing it. And back here, in the corpse, you can fight 2 more large titanite shards. So if you didn't farm them in Blighttown, this area gives you quite a few of them to upgrade your weapons towards +10. And then here, right around the corner, there's a snake mage. If you have ranged means, you can easily get rid of him. If you don't, then as long as you don't spend too much time just standing around on this little bridge here, he will not hit you. And you can cross the first 2 axes and then wait. There's enough space there. Careful, there's more traps on the ground here, but you can actually run just past them. And if you're a melee character, you can kill the snake lady from right here, if you so desire, even though at this point there's not really much point anymore. And this here is the same pit. You can drop down there and survive, but again, this just puts you to an earlier point. There's no secret items there. And now you've reached the top of Sense Fortress. I would recommend the first thing you do is grab the Bonfire. It is somewhat hidden. If you're playing online, there's usually messages there telling you to jump down. But yeah. In offline mode you might very well miss this, so don't, I guess. And you definitely don't want to go through Sense Fortress again. It's quite a long trek. And yeah, there's no downside to grabbing the Bonfire here. And it just puts you right back where the fog gate was. Now there is a guy here throwing huge fire bombs around, but he is pretty slow at tracking you. So as long as you don't stay in one spot for too long, he shouldn't be causing you much trouble. A few more corpses to loot here, and then past this point he will no longer hit you, so you're fine for a while. There's another one of these now Baronic Knights here. There was another one earlier in the game guarding the Firekeeper soul in Undead Parish. And he can still drop all the pieces of the steel set, I believe Steel Great Shield maybe, and the Great Axe, and maybe also the Great Sword, but I'm not certain of that. And then right around the corner here we have an NPC called Undead Prince Ricard. Or Ricard. He can be a bit nasty, and ranged means are the easiest way to deal with him. And he always drops Ricard's rapier, which is a very fast weapon, and it can be useful because of that. And he also guards 2 chests with a rare ring of sacrifice and a divine blessing. And both of which are quite valuable items, even though, because they are so rare, I guess people tend to not use them. Right, that's all there was to be had down there. So now let's head back into the firebomb area. And again, as long as you keep moving at a somewhat steady pace, these should not be causing you much trouble. Just, it punishes hesitation. Now we have someone to meet right after this somewhat tricky jump. It's not very tricky, it's just... it's fairly easy to miss it, I guess.
What? What? Who are you? Ah, another undead, eh? I took on Sen's fortress alone, but I'm no different from those vile creatures. I was driven by conceit. Ah, you think you're different? That you can handle it? Yes, I remember that feeling. For I was the same. So, let me help you out. With your soul searching. There's nothing more to say. I'm finished. We're both on the brink, you see. End of story. You bloody fool. Let me give you a nibble of advice. Don't even consider visiting Anor Londo. Not in your state. For a century they've tried and failed. The Night King Rendell, Black Iron Tarkus, and even Logan himself. You won't stand a chance, you'll be eaten alive. But go along if you wish. If only to deepen your despair.
Now he sells a variety of items. You can buy green blossoms and black fire bombs here. I'm just gonna grab a few. He sells upgrade materials, but you can get them cheaper quite soon. And he also sells the Katarina set, and if you're interested, the steel set and the boulder set.
Go along, try and make something of yourself. But nothing will come of it, and I should know.
Now within the very next area after Sen's Fortress, you will find an NPC who sells the same upgrade materials for less. So unless you really need those large shards right now, don't buy them here, because again later on it'll be cheaper. And there's a long staircase down, at the end of which there's a snake mage. And here you can see Homing Soul Mass, really cool spell. And the cage key, and the snake lady dropped a flamberge, which is a sort of dexterity sword, but pretty high strength requirement still. It's a bit of a niche weapon, I guess. Now the cage key is what you can use to free Logan if you didn't have the master key, because that's the other way to open those cages with Logan and the Soul of a Hero. Now if you fail this jump, you will land here. This is safe-ish, and you can grab the sniper crossbow, which has pretty good damage and a nice range. Sadly, because crossbows can't free aim, it's still very limited in its usefulness. And then there's two more Boulder Knights here. If you're looking to farm the Boulder Side Sword, these guys apparently have a higher drop rate for it. So if you don't need one as soon as possible, you can wait until here and the drop rate's a little higher. And in the chest there's a Flamestone Plate Ring. This increases your fire defense. I never found much use for it, but obviously if you know you're going to be encountering fire damage primarily, it can help. I think it's time to deal with the firebomb thrower, so we'll make our way there. Now most of the locations where you can hit are marked with these black charred bits of ash on the ground, but don't rely on that, because it's not 100%. You can also hit a few spots that aren't marked in that way. Okay, just wanted to show you this. Down this corridor there's a knight, and nothing else. There's no hidden path or anything here. It's kind of completely pointless. And there's one more thing that the cage key unlocks, and that's this shortcut down to the beginning of Sen's Fortress. So if you want to backtrack and free Logan now, this is probably the best way to go. It puts you down on a little ahead of Logan, but it's still quicker than backtracking another way. And obviously you can also use this to eventually get back up after you've freed Logan. And this cage does not open with the master key. If you don't have the cage key, you cannot do this shortcut. Now we're almost there. Again, the firebombs can hit you here, but if you could just keep moving, this will never be an issue. Crossbow guy to deal with, and then we can move on to the giant throwing the firebombs. And he is identical to the giant who opened the gate, which I showed you last episode. He has the exact same moveset. And he also has that same rampage attack, which causes him to rest afterwards, which is a great opportunity to attack. And he also drops a Titanite chunk guaranteed. Now really the only thing left to do is the boss, so I'll use my new character to show you this. And as always, this will be the easiest way to fight the boss. So right here, if you're human, you can summon an NPC called Iron Tarkus. And this is another one of the very, very useful NPCs, because he can basically solo the boss. You won't quite see this, I will help him. But if your damage is just bad, or you are really struggling, then you can summon Tarkus, make him aggro onto the boss, and basically stand back and watch. This is not guaranteed, he can die, but in my experience the success rate is 90% plus. So when you enter the fight, the boss will open with his ranged attack, but if you just strafe sideways, that does tend to miss quite a bit. And then he tends to focus on fairly basic physical attacks. As always, there will be a more detailed boss guide about this. So for now I'm just going to show you a reasonably quick kill. Now, for some reason Tarkus lost interest here and wanted to run back to me, so I decided to just join the fight. But you can see Tarkus has incredible defense. His shield is able to block those massive swings. And I have a very powerful weapon. That's a Black Knight Halberd +4, which is very, very powerful. And Tarkus still does more damage than me. Not by much, it's about on the same level, but he outdamages me. And yeah, that's just how powerful he is. But the two of us together have a very easy time. We even staggered him here, and then it's just a matter of getting the kill. It's not a challenging boss fight in the first place, so yeah. You shouldn't need Tarkus, but I just wanted to show him to you because he's quite cool. Alright, now I was gonna cut the episode here, but then I noticed that a lot of people, after this fight, because he gives so many souls, they get really nervous and don't really know if they should move on. So I'm just going to show you. After the fight, you touch this ring of light, you get a really cool cutscene. And we're going to reach the next bonfire without engaging a single enemy. So, in case you're watching this and wondering, or if you're mad enough to be playing along for some reason, yeah, after the fight, you don't have to run back to the bonfire to use your souls. You can move on further, and it's perfectly fine. There's no risk, no danger. It's not far to the next bonfire, and there's no threat along the way. So these gargoyles have put us into Anor Londo. Which looks really sweet. I like that cutscene. Now there are enemies here, but their aggro range is so short that you don't need to enter it. Next episode I will be exploring this area properly. But for now, there is a guard here, but you just take a left turn and he doesn't aggro you. It's not even, you don't even have to outrun him, he just doesn't notice you. And that's without any equipment that makes me harder to detect. So then you just move along on this open space, and on the left, down these stairs, there's the bonfire. So yeah, nothing to worry about. Okay, that was it. I hope you enjoyed the episode. As always, I would love some feedback. Have a good day. Bye bye.